Viewers advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion for Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. Fantasy Flight's newest game that is app-driven. Essentially, the way it was advertised to me, it was kind of like a Mansions of Madness, like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Minus the picking up useful things to help you along the way.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah, there is none of that. You barely pick up any items along the way. So here are the criticisms that I've heard from this, because I don't think this has really had like glowing reviews.
Oh man.
Like let's see, Board Game Geek
that
has
makes sense though.
Yeah, Board Game Geek has it at a
1.
Yeah, it's a 1. I mean, it's just been out, so it could be, 8.4. But in all honesty, that could just be people just like, it's a 10 because it's Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. But a lot of criticisms I've heard is that it's just very slow paced and like not a lot happens.
I can see that.
Which in our experience, yeah, there's really not a whole lot going on because you don't find items throughout the thing and you don't have a whole lot of search interactions.
Right. Yeah.
So most of your experience is you just moving and then just flipping cards from your deck and being like, all right, I got a success.
Yeah.
And then you're just reading stuff.
Which sometimes you'd be like, all right, shuffle your deck, and I'm like, I drew like 2 cards. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I want to shuffle my deck.
So I mean, there's a little bit to unravel here. Do you think that the Lord of the Rings theme is coming out?
Nah.
Yeah, I mean, they did stuff where...
I mean, you're literally Legolas, and that's about like...
Yeah, the named characters that everyone's gonna know, I mean, unless you're like excessive book readers and maybe these other people are actually in there. I've only read Fellowship and Two Towers. But the named characters that most people are gonna know are Aragorn, Legolas, and
that one Hobbit.
Bilbo. Those are the three characters, and then the rest are like Baranor, Elena, and then someone else.
I mean, Baranor is the esteemed brother of Boromir. They just spelled his name bad.
Yeah, they're just like, ugh, that guy.
I was a throwaway kid.
He was the third,
useless
whatever
brother.
His last name is.
Yeah.
Oh no, Gimli. Gimli's also in here.
Ooh.
Aragorn, Elena, Baravor, Gimli, Legolas, and Bilbo. So,
Gimli's my boy.
So, I mean, there's still some named characters, and, I mean, you get some references of, like, Weathertop and stuff, but this is just kind of one of those... This, so far, reminds me of the off-brand Lord of the Rings video games. Like, there was one, I remember, for the Xbox called Lord of the Rings The Third Age, and you were some other ragtag group that was, like, behind the Fellowship. Like, the Fellowship was good, because I remember there was a scene where it was, like... It was in, on the bridge of Khazad-dûm, where Gandalf is fighting, and like all the other Fellowship guys like ran off, and you actually fight with Gandalf, but you're just fucking nobodies that are there. I mean, the game was fun, but it was
You're
like
the reason that the Fellowship like survived. Like you carried the whole team.
Yeah,
but they got all the credit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're the B team, but you're doing all the work. So I mean, as of right now, and I should caveat this with we haven't finished the main campaign, so...
But we've played enough games like this.
Right. So, I mean, if you're like, well, it gets better later on, that's fine. And, I mean, this is one of those games that I'm going to go out and say, I do want to keep playing.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see where the story goes, but as of right now, it is very slow-paced. I mean, hell, like, the first chapter... I will say this, though. We played the first chapter twice, and... It was different.
Yeah, totally different. Like, as soon as you pulled out the first map tile, I was like, that's not the one we got last time.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was totally different.
And there was one that was like a hunter going after a bear cub.
Yeah.
Instead of a
the
guy
first one
fixing
was like lost
his
his
fence.
farm at animals.
Yeah.
And he had to find it.
So that was really neat. Like, there was just a little bit different stuff to go. And there were some similar things, like you had to find tracks, and that was all the same. And then...
And, like, I remember verbatim, like, oh, the goblin peers back at you from the bush.
So there was a lot of stuff that was still similar I mean... It's going to be like Mansions, where you can play the same scenario and the overarching thing is going to be the same, but there might be a little bit different things to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you.
I feel like they're just writing off of the name.
Oh, the Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's what got me excited. But I mean, like, I like the first one better, the first chapter. This one, like, almost immediately, I was like, okay, I guess I'll run over and go kill that guy. And
right.
Right after that, I was like, oh boy. So I'm just going to be stuck right here in this corner.
Right.
Getting my ass beat.
Yeah, it was like a battle map that it doesn't work with two people.
No, yeah.
Like, and you're
they ganged the fuck up on me.
Yeah, and you're a support, and I have a really great bow. It's literally called Great Bow.
It's a big old fucking bow.
But it does, like, I almost one hit everything if I draw right.
Yeah.
So I'm a good fighter, but at the same time, like, I can't take hits for shit. So it's like the first one, it's like, okay, well, we can cover enough ground and do stuff, but then in the battle ones, it's like we can't do enough to do this, and I don't know if we just played this one wrong or what, but
almost like we should.
Maybe you are supposed to lose.
Maybe, I don't know.
But that doesn't feel right.
No, I think if we were supposed, I don't know.
Because it was really like, I was like, okay, 10 hits, there you go. I dropped him, and then he's like, oh, he gets up.
Because then we're just gonna have to find him again. So that makes me think like, oh, we weren't supposed to lose. This is just a setback.
Yeah, like we had to retreat and then go camp and then follow them because they left.
So we're just being punished for losing.
Right. I mean, it is pretty cool that things will change depending on how well you do, because in the rules it says regardless if you pass or fail in the chapter, it will continue on. So I don't know how many options, how many branches that this campaign goes.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. It does sound, because that's seemingly what kind of Fantasy Flight does. They have three things. They have Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Like they lost a lot of licenses. Fantasy Flight, like, years ago was like in its heyday. It had Battlestar Galactica, it had Warhammer, it had Talisman, it had all these other branches, and then now it just seems like, oh, okay, so you make these big box games, and literally there is almost nothing in this fucking box. You wanna know how much this game costs?
Probably $100.
$100. Now, I will say that, like, for terms of content that you get, it's not worth $100, like, at all. The artwork is fine. I like the artwork. The minis are okay. They all kind of look the same, so it's they're minis. Like, they're nothing to be like, wow. They're not like Hate or Kingdom Death Monster minis. I mean, you never really expect that from Fantasy Flight anyway. But what you are probably paying for, how they can get away with this $100 price point, is you're paying for the app.
Ooh,
And the work that went into the app. And the app is really, really good. Like, everyone praises their Mansions of Madness app, which is also really good, atmospheric. They have the soundtracks, they have the voiceover.
Yeah.
Not the soundtrack, the sound effects, the voiceover, and the music. And it helps you do organization, and the app is awesome. Like, 2nd edition Mansions blows 1st edition out of the water. But with this one, it does even more. It tracks XP. It tracks lore that you gain. It tracks the items that you have. It tracks upgrades for your characters. It has a map. And one of the greatest things that I saw was, because if you look at the battle map, this is boring to look at, but the app actually had it in 3D terrain.
Yeah.
And I thought that was awesome. Like, that was so cool just to sit there and, like, it's like, okay, so place bushes here, and then and whenever you place them, it popped them up and actually had a design of them.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if it actually had, like, well, there'd be no way to track really where the enemies moved, but it was just neat. Like, I thought it was really cool how it tracks threat. It literally, like, you don't have to have a marker and be like, okay, so threat hit this. Like, it calculates almost everything for you. So the app is really how they're getting away with justifying this at $100. And that's okay, because I know for a fact that they're going to add expansions. Like, it's Fantasy Flight. They're probably going to have, like, 10 expansions, just like they did for Mansions of Madness and Arkham and Eldritch Horror, and they're just going to overbloat this thing. maybe not overbloat it, but they're going to just keep adding more and more campaigns to it. So yeah, so things that I like about the game, I actually really like the deck system, like how this works. Like it gives you a little bit of mitigation. Like you can look through and be like, okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 successes, and then I have a bunch of other cards that if I have a bunch of inspiration, that just gives me even more options to succeed. And the fact that every round you get to shuffle your discard pile and at least scout 2, you can be like, okay, well none of those are successes, but I'll pick this one to go down here to get a little ability and put this at the bottom. Or, oh, I drew a weakness, okay, I'll put the weakness at the bottom. So you get some mitigation, versus, I'd rather have this than dice.
Yeah.
Even though it's still random, I feel like you have a little bit more control, and I'm not going to get as mad, because you could easily, at least you know for a fact you will get successes. Versus die rolls where it's like, well, I keep failing.
Yeah, that was a cool roll of 3 ones.
Yeah, exactly. Or yeah. So I really like this. And what I also really like, and it goes kind of back to the app, is the upgrade system. Like, you gain XP based off what you do, and then you can spend that for your class's like abilities. Like, okay, I'll spend 3 XP to get whatever mine was called. Something useless. To get, yep, Quick Snare. That's our dog.
Oh.
To get Quick Snare for 3 XP. And now when I strike with the skill, I add Stun. So, I don't know, what do you think?
Just in general?
About the things I'm talking about,
about
the deck and the upgrades.
Yeah,
the XP
I mean,
spending.
I'm personally never a big fan of XP spending on paper, because I don't know why I don't know why I don't like it.
So you like it in video games?
Sometimes even barely then.
So you
Sometimes
just don't like making your character better?
I like that part, but sometimes I just don't. Sometimes I just wish I could just move on. Just move on from it.
Gotcha.
But it just always feels like it slows down a board game, because everything is slowed down when you're doing a board game versus anything on a computer or on a console. But, I mean, yeah, as far as the deck, like, I agree that it's better than dice. It is still random, so, I mean, there are some times where you can just, oh, my might's 2. Well, I'm probably not going to get a success. Like, unless the cards just happen to be that way, which I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I agree, but at least you know, because you can look through your discard pile and be like, and I know I have 5 successes in my deck. Okay, they're all 5 in the discard pile, so I know I'm not going to be succeeding. It gives you at least some of that knowledge.
Right. Yeah.
The fear and the damage, that works just like Arkham damage and mental health.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really, they just kind of took this and
copy and pasted.
And yeah, for the most part, made some changes, but it just seems it's a little bit less atmospheric.
Yeah.
Because even talking to people, like, hey, will you help me get my chickens? It's just like, all right.
And I was like, hell yeah!
I mean, even then, there was actually kind of a place that was immersion breaking where we were hunting these orcs and trying to track them down, and I went fishing.
Oh.
Like, the fact that was an option, it's just like, okay, this isn't really, like, immersive.
Right.
Or anything like that. I got an item, I got extra rations, so that's just stuff that we have now, but it's like, why is that even really an option to do? Because I can't think of really anything like that in any of the Arkham games.
Right, like it did just not seem to make sense, because there are stuff like, well, you need to look at that bookshelf, like inside this, but it makes sense because you're investigating it, but like, you have to go fishing, it's like, yeah, I guess because you're trying to survive at the same time, if you want to go deeper into it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you would think that it would be like, you were walking along the banks and then use your fucking whatever.
Do you think that, so mansions are scenario based? Like, it's not a campaign, so each scenario is completely different. And this is campaign. Do you think they actually hurt themselves by making this into a campaign? Because they could have easily just done different Lord of the Rings, like, scenarios like instead of an overarching campaign. Because here's the thing, if this doesn't pan out, I mean, no one's gonna buy their stuff. I mean, they might just. I mean, and that's probably. I'm actually wrong. People are gonna buy it just because it's Lord of the Rings.
That's what I just said. I was like, they were not said. I said it in my head. They've got enough fanboys to fuel that fire. They'll be fine. But
right.
no, I mean, I think I would like it more if it was scenario based. Like, I like that it's short. Like the first chapter wasn't very long. It was probably like an hour
and a half
ish, if that.
Yeah. Second one was 40 minutes.
Because we fucking died. But I like that they're kind of short. I wouldn't mind playing for like an hour, 2 hours.
Right.
To have like just a big scenario. Because I do like Lord of the Rings. Like, yeah, it does make me want to watch the movie. Siri! But, I don't know. It just really depends on how the campaign is. But I mean, it's just I feel like we've had a lot of campaigns lately, and it's just like, okay, is it done? Like.
Yeah, it's like, okay. So, I mean, and that's why we're doing the discussion. Like, I'm not going to continue recording this. We'll just play. We might do a final discussion afterwards to talk about the campaign.
Right.
But yeah, I just wanted to get some videos up just because a lot of people are probably wondering if this is worth the $100.
Mm-hmm.
As of right now, I'm going to say no. It is not worth the $100. The app is impressive, but unfortunately, the game so far is not like amazing.
Right.
So you have a really, really stellar app for kind of a lackluster game so far. That, like, if this was mentioned 2nd edition and it had the upgraded app like this one does, then it'd be perfection. But so far, it's just like, oh, okay, well, I mean, really, all we did was find an orc captain. So, but they keep alluding to bigger things.
Right.
So they're like, there's more evil at work. So, I mean, they have a lot. I mean, Lord of the Rings is such a vast, world and universe that they have a lot of material to go on. So I don't think that it's not going to get better. And expansions could also make it really good. Like, you can have bosses like, hey, we can go into the Mines of Moria and actually have a Balrog boss, and stuff like that.
We can go to the mines.
A mine!
Yeah.
But, so they have a lot of options, and, I mean, I love Lord of the Rings so much, I'll just still buy it. But yeah, it's scale of 1 to 10 so far.
I mean, so far I'm gonna just peg it right at 5, just to keep it safe.
At average?
Yeah, just cause, I mean, I'm not the one using the app. I love the narration. The 3D aspect is cool, I'm not the one looking at it, but, and I think it is fun and helpful to just be like, oh, it goes here, it goes here, it goes here, and you don't have to look in a book to see where it goes.
Yeah. You don't have to constantly be reading or stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you are constantly reading, but it's through the app, and it's just interactive.
It's more fun.
It just keeps it streamlined.
Yeah, and it keeps track of everything, like you said, so that's helpful. But, yeah, as of right now, like, that 2nd chapter really just kind of caught me off guard, and I was like, wow, I got wrecked.
Yeah.
Like, immediately.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no fucking point for me doing anything. I was like, I'm gonna suck if I move out, I'm gonna suck if I stay here.
The only thing I can think of is, like, if we had just beelined and cut that, like, we wouldn't have had as many people.
Yeah.
Maybe if I had actually just moved to the fire pit and shot at him and get pierced, then that would have done away with his armor.
Yeah.
So there probably were ways that we could have beaten him, but it was just scenario there were just too many people and you can't fight.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean,
So yeah. I mean, I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
0.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna have it because the story still has me intrigued. Like, I'm not completely like wrote off or checked out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, the app is stellar. I like the XP system and I like the lore base because, I mean, like with my great bow, for example, like if I spent the 32 lore, it would go to a Mirkwood great bow, which would be 5 hits, and that would give me cleave. And cleave is like each enemy in the group suffers the full amount of hits instead of just 1. So like if I had the Mirkwood bow and I attacked them and I did 7 damage, it'd do 7 damage to all of them.
Dang.
So yeah, the upgrade system I think is really neat.
Yeah.
and it's Lord of the Rings. So 6.5, still intrigued. But that is our thoughts on Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching this, and if you like this video, then click the subscribe button below to enjoy any video that I put out. And right next to that subscribe button is a little bell. Click that so you get notified of whenever I actually upload these videos. If you want to support the channel, you can definitely visit my Patreon page. The link is in the description below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.